Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another Arknights reaction. Today we have Stand By Me from the 6th anniversary live stream, and I know this one's pretty short, but I couldn't help myself. It's a brand new Arknights song. I am always going to be jumping on that wagon as fast as possible with their amazing track record. I have no qualms just assuming it's going to be great, but I need to hear it to know for sure. So without further ado, let's go!
Now did the whole world try to silence me? Clear your voices through my name, right on top of my heart. Turn a lifeline into the night sky.
Yeah, she has a really sharp voice. It just demands presence right away.
She's in the shadow in my dream, feeling the rooms I must be in. And then I heard your voice calling me up through the night. Used to be rehearsing this moment.
I'm getting into it.
Feeling so lonely, stitch by stitch. Then you hold my hand, say you stay beside me. Oh, if I
Tasteful little drum solo break there.
if I lost, will you stay here still and by my side?
I love that like warm, fuzzy sort of electric guitar accents in there. Very funky. I mean, it's so like 80s and 90s pop. Yeah. Shit, that was really fun. So I'll admit, I don't know if there's going to be a full-length version of this song or anything, or if this was all we're gonna get. I just wanted to watch and listen anyway, because like, why wouldn't I, right? And I'm glad I did. This was super fun, but it definitely doesn't feel like 80s city pop to me. It definitely feels like that transitional era of city pop where it was getting away from like the Maria Takeuchi Plastic Love sound and starting to move its way over into like kind of what we start to associate with like anime intros in that time period, the Sailor Moonification of music, if you will. And that's also a really fun flavor. And that's definitely a good stylistic distinction to make, because the 80s and 90s sound in Japan was not like one sound. And there was this window where things were starting to kind of blend together. You could hear some of that older influence, but at the same time, they were bringing it into this like newer hi-fi-esque sound that was different from the prior generation. So you get this flavor in this song, and that's why I think that this mix being so sharp alongside the vocalist is just so perfect for this. You know, like when I said sharp as a vocalist, that is not an insult at all. Her voice works really well for this sort of presence that you would have from singers in this era. And again, the mixing, having everything very forward, a little bit more nasally, something that carries a little bit better on stage, because that was starting to become more of a thing that they started to experiment with, and having stage shows be more of a part of city pop aesthetic and bringing that into kind of more of an idol culture as that started to take root. So it's really interesting to hear somebody like replicate that and emulate it and do such a damn good job at it. They did a fantastic job with like all the textures in here. There was some really nice texture work. There was like a chime sort of sound during like, I think the transition into the chorus, like right from the pre-chorus. And like, that's something that you would hear all the time in that era of music. The person who wrote this definitely understands that genre and nailed that vibe. And the singer too, like she's got a great voice for this. I was a little concerned at the start, honestly, because I was like, might be a little bit too like nasally and forward, a little bit too aggressive. And that might just be specifically the way that they were taught how to speak English, assuming that they're a Japanese vocalist to begin with and had to learn another language. And that just happens. You're going to get linguistic differences when you have people who sing multiple multiple languages. Accents are going to shine through, and however you were taught how to sing is going to push that. But I don't think that's necessarily the case here. I think that this was specifically a decision by the composer and maybe the general production team to have her sing this way, because I mean, it's just so bright. It's so forward. It's like, hey, can you sing this in a character voice? Not like something crazy, not a cartoon, just somebody who would be bubbly, poppy, young, spry, full of energy. You know, like the beginning of their career, wide and doe-eyed, just somebody who has that energy behind them. And I think that that works fantastic for this character. I don't know the character, obviously, but at the same time, I can see that in the way that she's presented in the video. That helps a lot with that personality and being able to see what type of person she is. And I was pretty curious about what else this vocalist has done before, and I went to go look and see if I could find more of their music. And the only other song I could find from her was Imperfect Perfection, that was on Apple Music, I think. And that was the only other song I could track down. And she sang that in Chinese, and it sounded gorgeous. She had this quality to her voice that was a little bit more wispy and airy, and it's softer, you know, like it wasn't the same character that was being sung for Stand By Me. So I'm sitting here like, okay, that kind of adds to the whole concept of maybe she was performing a character, like as the character, not just singing it the way she would in English, which is also possible because as you develop another language, as you learn a second one, a third one, a fourth one, however it may be, you are going to have these like linguistic differences with like true native speakers. And sometimes that's something like people in Japan picking up a British accent, or Americans trying to speak Japanese and you end up sounding like a fucking idiot, like Nihongo desu ka? Like it just doesn't work, you know? But those qualities can shine through, so I'm not entirely sure which one it is. I'm going to choose to believe that it's entirely by the direction of the team here, that they wanted her to sing like the character would and have that like brightness to her voice, something that is very stage present friendly, and that would totally make sense. Whatever the case may be though, brilliant vocalist. It doesn't matter at all where the accent came from, why she was singing so forward. The fact is it works for this genre, works for this song, and she did it so fucking well. The composer did a great job at nailing all of these aesthetic choices. I love the little things like the drum fills in there. You just can't be mad, right? Like it's a good song. It nails that aesthetic. I love the whole vibe of it, the bubbles floating around in the video as well. Again, kind of cementing itself in my mind to that like 90s era of everything had bubbles for some reason. Don't ask me why, I don't know, but especially out of Japan, they loved that shit. I'm sure China had it too, but like especially Japan, a lot of anime had that going on. It's just an aesthetic thing that they decided was going to be a thing for a while, and it was, and this is kind of something that I think is paying homage to a lot of those choices. And something else I actually want to mention, like I mentioned earlier, the hi-fi thing that I was talking about, that's like a quality in the audio, right? Where everything started to get a little bit more bright and sharp because they were trying to balance audio in a different way, especially for TV. And it was like, okay, well, how do we adjust for that? We crank things up a little bit because there's not really much room for bass yet, you know? Like the average person's TV at home, the average person's radio doesn't really have good bass response. It's not going to for another decade or so until that really decides to cement itself into the zeitgeist of public consumer options. So I think mixing it the way they did makes a lot of sense too, just contextually, because again, you're going for that era, and for that era, there wasn't too much bass going on. It's still in there, obviously, you could hear it, but you could definitely tell there's more of that sharpness to the quality of the mix overall, and the whole song kind of resonates in that high range. And again, it's a perfect match of what this era of music was trying to do, and they nailed it. I mean, what else can I say? The samples, the instruments, the choices of general production, having like the funk guitar riffs going on in there, it's all exactly what was happening at that time. So they made what very well could be like the perfect homage to that era, and what a perfect way to do it. So great job, entire team behind this song. You nailed it down to the lyrics. Everything was perfect here. I have no complaints. So now I'm done yapping. Thank you all so very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video and you want me to get to something else from Arknights, by all means, drop in the comments below and I will do my best as always to get to those. Or if you don't want to do any of that, maybe just want to follow me and support me for more stuff coming in the future, you know how to do all that. And I will see all of you in the next video. Goodbye!